Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to do hill starts. When you're moving off on a hill, you want to make sure you're getting to gear 1 because the other gears are not going to work that well. You set a bit of gas as normal, so you don't really need too much gas as some people say. You don't need lots of gas, you need the same amount of gas as you would do normally, but what you want to do is make sure you got a nice biting point so that your car doesn't roll back when you release the handbrake. So you set a bit of gas between 1 and 2, bring the clutch up to about there. Depending on your car, you'll feel the car dip when you get to the biting point. Or if you're not sure, look at the lines at the back there. On the back screen, they'll look at them through this mirror here, then you see their little dip, and once you see that dip, the car's got enough power now to go forward when you release the handbrake. So you look around again, do a full check, put a signal on, and then release the handbrake. But I'm keeping my foot very still, it's just at the biting point, keeping it there for a few seconds, and I'm releasing it really slowly. Then once I get to like there, I can bring up some more, and then I can add more gas. So the key here is controlling your clutch. You don't want to bring your clutch up too fast. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm going to look around. I'm going to set a bit of gas before I do that actually, because I don't want to release the handbrake and then roll backwards. So I'm going to set a bit of gas, bring the clutch to the biting point, look around all the way. I can feel the car rumbling a bit, and I've seen it dip down a bit as well, which means there's enough power there. Then I'm going to release the handbrake, and I'm keeping my clutch just about there, and then I'm bringing it out really slowly, keeping the same amount of gas. I don't want to let go of the gas, which is a mistake a lot of learners make. They release the gas too soon and then the car stalls, and that's a problem. So you don't want to release the gas too soon. Make sure you keep it on and listen to the engine noise as well, so that it maintains the same level of noise, because if it starts to dip, usually means you haven't got enough power and you're going to stall the car. So if you're in a junction like this, and this is a hilly one as well, you want to be careful here. So let's say I've had to stop for that car coming down, I'll put my handbrake on, apply a bit of gas while that car's coming down, then I'm going to set my gas to about there, and then clutch to the biting point, look again, and then release the handbrake. I'm keeping my clutch really still as I go around the corner, so if I bring up too fast, it's gonna stall or go too quickly around the corner. So if you've stopped on the hill and then you've applied the handbrake and got into neutral and you come off the pedals, and if you see the car rolling back, what you don't want to do is go for the handbrake. You want to go for the brake straight away, because that stops the car better than the handbrake. Once you've done that, then you lift the handbrake a bit higher and come off the brake softly, and it should hold then. So I know there's some people that prefer to do it without the handbrake, so I'm going to show you that way as well. This one requires a bit more control, especially if your car hasn't got hill assist. So you want to look around as normal, but what you want to do, so here's quite a steep hill. You want to bring the clutch just a bit to the bike while you've still got your foot on the brake. So right now the car is being held by the brake, not the handbrake. You're going to bring the clutch just to about there. You feel the car rumble a little bit, which means you've got the car at the biting point. And you don't want to bring it up any higher than that, because you could stall. So now when you're ready to go, you want to transfer your brake foot to the gas pretty much straight away. So like now I'll go to the gas, adding some gas now, because I don't want to move off with just the clutch. It's very steep here. And then once I can go up the hill a bit more, I can bring the clutch a bit higher, and then now it's just the gas doing all the work. Then once I get more speed, I can change into gear. When you're stopping in gear 2, let's say you want to do a little move, make sure you go into 1 first, and then you can bring the clutch a bit higher to the biting point like that. Because if you were to try to do that in gear 2, that wouldn't work. So if you've gone really slowly for a stop, but then you want to make a small adjustment, make sure you go into a lower gear, because on a steep hill, gear 2 won't work at really slow speeds. Let's say you are rolling back. A mistake that learners make is they'll bring the clutch up really high like that, and then you end up stalling. The correct way to do it, let's say you do start rolling back, you bring the clutch up just a little bit like that, and then it will hold at the biting point, add a bit of gas as well, and then you could carry on if you were trying to drive on. The thing that scares people the most is when the car is rolling back. What you want to do is get used to that sensation of rolling back, because once you get over that fear, it's really easy to control the clutch on the hills. You might want to go somewhere quiet, especially if you're like practicing with your parents or even with an instructor. Go somewhere quiet and just get used to, that feeling of rolling back, so that you can get used to catching it like that. See, so letting it roll back a bit and catching it. You don't want to let it roll in normal situations, but this is just so if it does roll, you're not going to panic. So in a normal situation, especially if someone's really close to you, you don't want to roll back at all. So in that case, I would use my handbrake and then add a bit of gas. I'm just going to look around now, because we are moving off now. And then add a bit of gas, keeping the clutch at the biting point, slowly releasing it, adding the gas a bit more, and then now off the clutch fully and into gear 2. So when you're moving off downhill, you want to be really careful with your speed. You don't want to do a normal move of like you would do on a flat road, because the car's going to go too fast otherwise. You're going to want to use a bit of the brake as you're moving. So I'll show you what I mean now, especially here we've got cars quite close to us. I'm just going to look around. I'm going to signal because I can't see too well into that gap there, but I'm going to put my handbrake down, look around, but I'm controlling the speed with my clutch and my brake right now. And then once I get like here, I can ease off the brake and I can come off the clutch a bit more, and then that way I wasn't going too fast because it was so steep that gravity was pulling us down anyway. So if I was to try to use my clutch and go faster, we'd go too fast. And then going down here, I'm just going to use my brakes to control how fast I go, because if I don't, I could end up going too fast. And then when it gets flatter like here, I can actually add a bit more gas. And so driving slowly uphill, some people struggle with this as well. So like right now we're going up a kind of a steepish hill and going quite slowly. So instead of going too fast, I want to make sure I got my clutch just at the biting point with a bit of gas as well. And then once I get to where I want to stop, I'll put my clutch down and make sure I brake straight away. Put my brake quite a bit down, handbrake up just to control it. And then I'm going to get my biting point again, because I can see those cars up ahead moving. Add a bit of gas too, and then release the handbrake. So when a car is stopped in front of you on the hill, just make sure you can apply your handbrake. You've got time to do that. Some people will try to do, like, kind of not use the handbrake because they think it's going to take too long, but it's much better than rolling backwards. So if you're trying to reverse uphill, it's going to be the same principle as what I showed you earlier. So it's going to be a bit of gas, getting the biting point, but this time instead of the car dipping that way, you want it to dip this way. So when you're looking at the mirror and looking at those lines in the windscreen at the back there, they're going to go up like that. Or if you're looking at the bonnet, it's going to dip down a bit like so. So we'll look around. I'm going to get my gas and biting point on, and then once I start moving, I'm just going to keep it at the biting point. Remember, I don't want to go fast here, so I'm just keeping it really at the biting point. Just playing around with it a little bit here. So this is quite a steep hill. I don't know if you can tell, but this is really steep here. But I'm just using the clutch and a bit of gas as well, because if I was used to just the clutch by itself, the car will struggle a lot. So I'm just playing with the clutch up and down like that, just to keep the speed slow. And then I'm going to stop here for now. So the key point there is make sure you got enough of a bite. A good little trick as well, when you've parked, let's say you're leaving your car here like for a while, you can actually leave it in reverse and then switch the engine off. That way, if the handbrake fails for whatever reason, so I'm going to show you now. So let's say the engine was off, but we're in reverse right now. So when the clutch is up, see, the car doesn't go anywhere. If you're parked uphill, you leave it in gear 1, and then that way it's not going to roll backwards.